Maya Johnson had never imagined her life would take a turn this dramatic when she was summoned to the Whitman mansion that morning. Every step on the marble floors echoed the difference between her world and theirs, yet she walked in with calm determination. Edward Whitman, frail and fragile in his hospital bed, stared at her with a mix of pride and regret, his voice trembling as he called her name. Maya's heart raced, knowing this moment carried more weight than any task she had ever done in her life. She had served the Whitmans quietly for years, unnoticed, judged for her skin, her youth, and her humble status, yet something in Edward's eyes told her that this was different. He was dying, and he had a wish that only she could fulfill. Clara Whitman, packing impatiently nearby, rolled her eyes and whispered dismissively, but Maya ignored her, focusing on the gravity of Edward's request. He leaned forward, his weak hand trembling, and spoke in a soft but commanding tone, entrusting Maya with something that no one else could handle. Maya listened intently, her courage growing with each word, realizing that this was not just a task, it was a chance to show her worth, intelligence, and humanity. Dr. Helen Carter watched silently from the corner, her expression unreadable but supportive, knowing that this young black maid held the power to honor Edward's final wish and change the dynamics of the household forever. Maya's mind raced as she considered the implications, the challenges, and the risks, but she straightened her back, squared her shoulders, and nodded firmly. The air was thick with suspense, the tension palpable, as she prepared to step into a role that no one had expected her to fill. This moment would test her patience, her courage, and her resilience in ways she had never imagined, and the entire mansion held its breath, waiting to see if Maya could rise above prejudice, fear, and disbelief. One decision in her hands could alter lives forever, and she felt a quiet fire ignite within her, a determination that no one, not even the Whitmans, could take away. Subscribe and comment to see how Maya bravely faces the impossible challenge ahead in the next chapter. Maya Johnson moved carefully through the grand corridors of the Whitman mansion, her mind replaying Edward Whitman's frail voice and the gravity of his final request. Every ornate painting and gilded frame seemed to press down on her, a silent reminder that she was stepping into a world that had never welcomed her as an equal. Clara Whitman trailed behind, arms crossed, lips pressed in thin disapproval, her eyes glinting with impatience and disbelief that a young black maid could be entrusted with something so vital. Maya could feel the weight of judgment pressing down, yet she held her head high, her every step measured, her heart steady with quiet resolve. Edward lay in his massive bedroom, sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows, highlighting the lines of worry and regret etched across his face, and Maya felt the pulse of urgency in the air. Dr. Helen Carter followed silently, her hands folded, knowing that the coming hours required both tact and courage, and that Maya would need guidance, yet must make her own choices. Edward's frail hand trembled as he gestured to Maya, the frailty of age contrasting sharply with the power he had once wielded, and he spoke again, each word heavy with the weight of decades of pride, secrets, and unspoken remorse. Maya listened carefully, absorbing every detail, realizing that her actions would have consequences far beyond the walls of the mansion. Clara muttered under her breath, clearly irritated by the attention her father was giving to someone she considered beneath her, yet Maya did not flinch, understanding that this was her moment to rise above prejudice, to show intelligence, bravery, and a heart unafraid to act where others hesitated. The task Edward entrusted to her was delicate, requiring precision, compassion, and discretion, and Maya's mind raced with strategies, each possibility carrying risks that could shatter her chance to prove herself, or worse, ignite the anger of Clara and other skeptics. Hours passed as Maya meticulously prepared, guided subtly by Dr. Carter's observant eye and gentle suggestions, each movement calculated yet infused with courage. She could hear Clara packing, muttering criticisms, but Maya let the words wash over her without disturbance, keeping her focus entirely on Edward and the responsibility placed in her hands. The tension in the room was palpable, a mixture of suspense, fear, and the anticipation of change. Edward's eyes softened as he watched Maya, a flicker of hope crossing his weathered face, silently acknowledging that she was far more capable than the world had allowed her to believe. The mansion, usually a symbol of control and wealth, became a stage for courage, intelligence, and quiet defiance, as Maya navigated each step with skill, calm, and unwavering determination. By late afternoon, the first stage of Edward's wish had been carefully set into motion, every detail handled with precision and respect. Clara's disdain had not lessened, but her curiosity was piqued, and even Dr. Carter's professional reserve could not hide her admiration for Maya's poise and competence. Edward exhaled deeply, relief mingled with the frailty of age, and Maya felt a surge of confidence, knowing that she had not just completed a task, but had begun to shift perceptions in ways far beyond the immediate moment. This was not merely about fulfilling a dying wish, it was about asserting dignity, intelligence, and courage in a world that had underestimated her for too long. Subscribe and comment to witness Maya's journey continue as she takes the next bold step to honor Edward's final wish and change the Whitman household forever. Maya Johnson stepped lightly but confidently into the study, the polished mahogany surfaces gleaming in the daylight, reflecting a world that had long underestimated her. Every sound she made, the soft click of her shoes on the marble, the rustle of her uniform, felt magnified in the silent tension of the mansion. Edward Whitman lay propped up in his massive leather chair, frail yet commanding, his piercing eyes following every movement, weighing her every gesture. Clara Whitman hovered near the doorway, arms crossed, her sharp gaze radiating impatience and disbelief, struggling to reconcile the authority her father granted to someone she deemed beneath notice. Dr. Helen Carter trailed silently behind Maya, her observant eyes noting every subtle shift in Edward's demeanor and Clara's restless agitation, knowing that this delicate balance could tip into chaos with the slightest misstep. Maya's heart beat steadily, a quiet rhythm of determination and courage, as she reminded herself that this moment was far bigger than fear, far beyond any whispered judgments of race or background. She approached Edward carefully, placing the items he had entrusted to her on the polished desk, aligning them exactly as he had instructed. Each motion carried weight, each breath a reminder of the responsibility she had willingly embraced. Edward's frail hand reached out, trembling slightly, and he adjusted a small paper, nodding silently in approval, a rare smile breaking across his lined face. Clara muttered under her breath, clearly unimpressed, but Maya did not flinch. She knew this was about more than appearances. It was about intelligence, bravery, and integrity, qualities her position had never allowed her to demonstrate fully before. Dr. Carter's presence was a silent reassurance, a subtle acknowledgement that Maya's decisions, though independently executed, were guided by wisdom and careful observation. Hours slipped by, the afternoon sun painting the study in warm golden hues, shadows stretching across the room, emphasizing both the grandeur of wealth and the fragility of human life. Maya worked with meticulous care, following Edward's instructions while anticipating the subtle challenges Clara might attempt to impose. Every glance from Clara carried judgment, every sigh a test, yet Maya remained steady, her mind calm, her spirit unwavering. Edward's whispers of encouragement mingled with his coughs of frailty, reminding Maya that she carried not only tasks but trust, the kind earned over a lifetime yet given freely to someone the world had overlooked. Dr. Carter occasionally stepped forward with a quiet suggestion or gentle guidance, but Maya's confidence and intelligence allowed her to execute Edward's plan without hesitation, displaying a poise that surprised even those who had long underestimated her. As evening approached, Maya had completed the crucial first phase of Edward's final wishes, each detail carefully attended to, each challenge navigated with discretion and courage. Clara's expression had shifted from disdain to reluctant curiosity, and even Dr. Carter's professional admiration could not be hidden, a subtle acknowledgement of Maya's capability and heart. Edward exhaled deeply, relief mingled with the frailty of age, as if a heavy weight had been lifted, a rare softness in his proud, commanding demeanor. Maya's own heart swelled with quiet pride, not from recognition or reward, but from the certainty that she had acted with intelligence, courage, and integrity in a world that had doubted her every step. This moment was far more than the fulfillment of a dying wish. It was a powerful lesson in perseverance, quiet strength, and the courage to act with honor in the face of prejudice and doubt. Subscribe and comment to witness Maya take the final, decisive step that will transform the Whitman family forever and reveal the true measure of character beyond wealth or appearances. Maya Johnson stood in the grand hall, her hands steady but her heart pounding with anticipation. The golden afternoon light streaming through the tall windows and casting long, dramatic shadows across the polished marble floors, reminding everyone in the room of both wealth and fragility. Edward Whitman, frail yet commanding, sat upright in his chair at the center, eyes fixed on Maya with a rare softness that mingled authority with vulnerability, his frail fingers trembling slightly as he gestured for her to continue. Clara Whitman hovered near the staircase, arms crossed, jaw tight, her entitled expression flickering between impatience, disbelief, and a creeping realization that Maya was far more capable than she had ever imagined, a truth that unsettled her comfortably ordered world. Dr. Helen Carter remained silently attentive, standing near Edward, her professional gaze softening as she watched Maya execute each instruction with precision, intelligence, and courage, knowing that this moment would define not only Edward's final wishes, but also reshape the power dynamics that Clara had taken for granted. Maya moved gracefully, yet with deliberate purpose, arranging documents, personal items, and symbolic tokens exactly as Edward had dictated, each motion calculated, each glance purposeful. Her quiet confidence and intelligence radiated with every action, forcing Clara to swallow back words of condescension and forcing Edward to allow himself a small, grateful smile. Time seemed suspended as she navigated the delicate balance between obedience, discretion, and moral judgment, anticipating every challenge Clara might try to impose while ensuring Edward's wishes remained uncompromised. Dr. Carter's subtle nods of approval were encouragement enough, yet Maya's mind stayed sharp, aware that the stakes were far higher than any mere task. It was about honor, trust, and defying the prejudices that had always underestimated her. Hours passed, the room shifting in color as sunlight waned and shadows lengthened, painting dramatic patterns on the walls and highlighting the emotional weight of the moment. Maya's calm and quiet determination contrasted sharply with Clara's restless packing, her initial judgment slowly melting into reluctant admiration. Edward, frail yet resolute, whispered instructions, punctuated by coughs and labored breaths, trusting Maya in ways he had never trusted anyone else, seeing in her intelligence, humility, and courage the fulfillment of a lifelong desire for order, loyalty, and respect beyond wealth and status. The documents were signed, the legacy secured, and Maya's careful planning ensured that Edward's final wishes would be honored with dignity, integrity, and grace, leaving no room for doubt or dispute. As evening fell and the last rays of sunlight faded, Clara's demeanor had transformed, the entitlement and arrogance replaced by respect, tinged with awe at Maya's ability to command attention, execute plans, and demonstrate bravery in a world that had sought to diminish her. Edward's frailty now seemed softened by gratitude and relief, a rare smile illuminating his lined face, the shadow of terminal illness giving way, for a brief moment, to peace. Dr. Carter, professional yet deeply moved, quietly acknowledged that Maya had not only fulfilled a dying wish, but had also changed the family's perception of character, proving that intelligence, courage, and integrity could surpass wealth, status, and prejudice. Maya stood tall, humble, yet radiant, knowing she had altered lives forever, not by her social status, not by wealth, but by unwavering courage, moral strength, and quiet intelligence that refused to be underestimated. The Whitman family, shaken, humbled, and enlightened, realized a lesson they could not ignore. True value comes from character, not inheritance. This chapter closes with a reminder for all to recognize talent, respect courage, and never judge by skin or status. Comment your thoughts below and subscribe to witness how one brave young woman changed everything with heart, intelligence, and determination.